company, so round of applause for them. And the reason we have that is very simple. Also, just before we go, they did want to mention, for those of you who are keeping it with the social media side of things, semipermanent.com/live is going all day tomorrow. If you want, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So if you've got people who couldn't make it today because they have, I don't know, a job, do feel free to let them know that they can go there and see what it is that they're missing out on. So ladies and gentlemen, I had no idea that being a paper engineer was a job. It is, apparently. And engineering high-end pop-up books and crisp paper constructions professionally for 6 years is what our next speaker has been doing, spanning a variety of applications from fine art to advertising, magazine, illustration, fashion and packaging. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome all the way from Sydney, paper engineer, Benja Harney.
Very good.
Hey, thanks for coming to hear me speak, and thank you obviously to Andrew and Murray and Simon for inviting me. It's my third time speaking in 10 minutes, so you think I'd be a little bit less nervous than I am, but anyway. As you know, everyone's got some paper on their seat. And, I'll start. This is me. This was one of the first things I ever did when I first started on this crazy road of paper. It's a self-portrait in 3D, and I've never seen anything like this before, and it's kind of become my unofficial mascot, I suppose. But, and there's my website, which will kind of bounce into my blog, and obviously Twitter, which I love. I'm always tweeting my paper finds, as well as like crazy drug things as well, so ignore that. But look, if everyone could please take their bit of paper. I suppose one of the most unexpected things about what I've done in the 7 years I've been doing this is teaching. It's been kind of really interesting and unexpected aspect of what I've done. And you know, I always start when I teach with origami. It's kind of like a good gateway into what I do and what paper engineers do. So what I thought we'd do is start by folding. So we're going to make like a chatterbox or we'll make a chatterbox or a fortune teller. So if everyone could take one piece of paper, and the best bit is here, you can listen to the noise it makes, it's really cool. So what we need to do is firstly make a square. So take your A4. It's like makes me a little bit less nervous when I start folding. It's like my biggest class I've ever taught. And this slide here is one of the first classes I taught, was the powerhouse we made in Sydney. And all these kids are making pop-ups, they love it. Very cool. So yes, we fold our square down. Just to remind everyone, it's very important to be very neat and precise. That's something that I do with my work, and especially with origami. The neater and more precise you are, the better your product is. So, and what we now need to do is tear off this rectangle that's formed down the side. Here's one I prepared earlier. It's kind of a bit hard to do here. I know it's kind of a bit difficult without tables to lean on. And you should have your square. How does that sound? It's like rain or something. And once you've got your triangle, you can fold the triangle again in half for another triangle. And now you should have your crosshairs. And what we do is we bring each 4 points into the centre, folding neatly. I might come over here. And once you've done that, you could flip it over and do exactly the same thing. So bring all 4 corners again into the centre. I mean, this is really basic stuff, but you know, what I love, which you'll see later. But I mean, I love that this flat thing with a bit of energy, and you know, you can create something that's formed and you know, it becomes something completely different. So still blows me away at times. Pardon me. And once you've got that, you then take it and you fold it in half to kind of get a rectangle, and then you should be able to get your fingers up under here. it actually helps if you squeeze here too.
How's he making the fucking box?
Anyway.
How's this gonna make
You
it?
show the little chat box.
What? Oh, that thing. No, fuck that on, make a box.
There we go. Did everyone get that? Almost. I'll give you another 10 seconds or so. See, I feel better already. It's like kind of... So, I studied paper engineering at TAFE, which is kind of a community college in Sydney. And I started studying in 2002. I'd been living in London and I kind of came back to do graphic design. And as fate would have it, it was very serendipitous. We had a class, a very basic class in paper construction, it was called. And my teacher was very strict. And she kind of impressed upon me the idea of millimetre perfection, which is, I never knew I was a real perfectionist about my work, about this kind of thing, but it really kind of inspired me to try and kind of take on the challenge that she put down and do something that was as perfect as she could hope for. So this was the first project I ever did, and it was a series, it was a design project at school, and it was a series of small pop-up books. I mean, really crap typography. But the one in the middle there, I did it on Art Nouveau, and the one in the middle there is Hector, one of the metro stations in Paris by Hector Guimard, and it took me about 2 weeks to kind of think about it, wrap my mind around the problem. And I kind of had an aha moment one morning, and I woke up and realised how I was going to do it. Anyway, so I ended up doing like maybe eight little books, and everyone in my class at college was kind of really blown away by what I'd done. So I thought, well, you know, and it was interesting. I'd done a lot of paper stuff with my brother as a kid. My dad's an engineer, and my mum was a children's book author, and we had a lot of pop-up books and stuff. So it kind of reignited something that I'd kind of forgotten that I love to do, making models and things. So I tried to incorporate paper as much as I could into my college projects from there on in, much to the chagrin of my teachers, I think. But after I left college, I didn't quite know how to continue on. I mean, it was really a hobby. I had no idea that paper engineering was even a career. I didn't even know that the word existed. And I kind of started to get a little bit interested, did a bit of research and found out that this thing is called paper engineering, pop-up books and things. So this is one of the very first projects I did outside of college. And I thought, you know, if I'm going to continue doing on with this road, I need to kind of set myself some self-initiated projects. So I kind of made these pop-up books for an art show in conjunction with that first portrait that I showed you. And the cicada here actually makes a really cool sound when you open it. It's kind of a bit of a happy accent, that one. And I love old things, Victorian, at this particular time, Victorian insects were kind of a real fascination, so I kind of created these insect books, which are really cool, about spiders. They're still some of my favourite projects today, actually, these ones, they're really beautiful. And so from that point, this was one of the very first commercial jobs I did. My friend Daniel has a production company in Sydney called Collider, and they were doing a very high-tech ad for JCPenney, which is like an American kind of department store. And in one of the scenes, they asked me if I could make a pop-up of a cake, because I knew that I did this, so this was what happened. And you know, it was really cool, like the whole thing animated, and they put like these digital lights coming on, digital flames and stuff. I mean, I'm very analog, you'll see. I'm not like all these techno guys who've been talking before, like Brad, who was amazing. And so this was like really the first time that my work had kind of appeared in a public sense, I suppose. This is something I did with a very good friend of mine, Megan Morton. She's a stylist, and I think she really helped me kind of break into, I suppose, more kind of, you know, really helped me kind of get into it. She very much encouraged me, and I think that this slide to me is really about the power of collaboration. I think it's really important to work with your peers and to, you know, network and make contacts, because I think when we as creatives work together, everything kind of magnifies and it becomes, you know, something even bigger and better than it possibly ever could be if we worked on our own. I mean, I'm happy to work on my own, but I do prefer to work with other people. You know, I love this all white is really beautiful paper. You can see it just works so well. It's nice and simple. And Megan did a good job, as always. She's pretty talented. So this was I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, which was one of the first kind of commercial pop-ups that we had manufactured. We made about 300 of them. I worked with a girl called Melissa from Cape Creative in Sydney, and she had a knife made for this. So this was the first time we ever had a knife made, but I'll talk to you about that a little bit more later. We won an award in New York for this, like a Media Max, something or other, silver. I can't remember the name right now, but and we handmade these because with pop-ups they have to be handmade. Not a machine can't do that for you, so you'll see more of that too. Yeah, so this was a great little job, and I mean the whole mystery of how a knife gets made. I really want to learn that because it's you know it's really something that you never really know or see how it happens. And this is another job I collaborated on. Shigeru Ban is a Japanese architect, a very famous Japanese architect who works with paper. He creates these incredible structures. I mean, they're enormous structures with kind of tubing and stuff like that. He was pitching to build a building in Sydney. He didn't win the pitch, but I collaborated with Greg Anderson from Trigger Design, who is a very talented art director. And you know, we wanted to do something that was obviously very Shigeru Ban in its way. The brown card is very reminiscent of his work, and obviously the crisp white is, you know, reflective of pure Japanese design. And so he pushed me to develop this woven cover, which I've never seen anything like before, or since for that matter. And I think, you know, had I not worked with Greg on this, I would have never ever done anything like this. So, you know, I think it's a really good indication of how two minds can make more. This is it's all looking a bit squished, but that's fine. This is one of the first kind of sculptural projects I did for Topshop. Opened up a capsule store in Sydney, Inku, and I worked with the talented curator Tara de Cruz Noble, who's become since a good friend, and we kind of developed this range of little sculptures to put on show in the store. And Best of British was the theme, so I kind of made the crown jewels here. And I mean, you can see there what it takes to make that ball. You know, those spheres, it's a total punish. I never want to have to make another one of those. Because, I mean, anything round in paper is very complex. Paper tends to lend itself much more to sharper angles and things like that. So, and next to that is high tea, which is, I mean, some of these images, they're kind of a bit older now, but they're some of my more popular images and work that I've created. This is a pop-up book that I made for Harper's Bazaar in Australia, and the then editor had asked me to produce, it's like a promotional piece really, to sell advertising in the bumper of the September issue. So we kind of came up with, I made 3 of these, and he kind of took it around and sold advertising for the magazine. And you know, the theme Be Bizarre, and then there's the Power Women up there, kind of. Pardon me, the model army coming off the catwalk, power women with like all those amazing cheeks coming out of that lady's head. I think it was Giselle, I think. And the product basket, which is kind of an explosion of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I didn't sleep much tonight. I didn't sleep at all the night before I had to have this one. It was a bit of a killer. But most of my work is a bit of a killer actually. I'm always like up till all hours. This was Park Life, the branding. I almost didn't do this job. It was a little bit last minute. I was kind of going away and I kind of managed to squeeze it in. I'm really glad I did because it's become kind of one of the iconic things that I've done. A lot of people talk to me about this because they seem to know it. I worked with Raj and Britt, 2 amazing art directors on this guy. And yeah, I mean, it's really beautiful. You know, I love colour and graphic kind of bold shape. Really appeals to me. Paper type there. I mean, paper type's it's a bitch, you know. It's actually one of the hardest things to do in paper is to make 3D type. So I try and steer clear of it, but people love it, so they come keep on, can we get some more type? But just to give you an example, these are later jobs, but that's an ampersand and a 5 from 2 separate jobs. But you can kind of see the amount of detail that goes into just making like anything with counters, and the letter B is the worst, and it gets really, really hard. So this is a shot of my old studio. This was a project I did in Sydney for Hermes. They're a company, they sell handbags and stuff like that, fashion. And I was asked to create a window display for their Christmas windows back in 2009. So here's my old studio. It was like really kind of small little space. I mean, I was going to show some more photos, but it's really messy what I do. I make a hell of a mess, paper everywhere. But you know, all these feathers. I think I made 7 pairs of wings in total, and all these feathers are hand cut. And it was really blood, sweat, and tears. I was kind of weeping by the end of it. But I mean, you know, it took me. I was working 35 days straight to get this one done. And I think this was really the first time that I kind of worked out what it takes to be the best at what you do. You know, you kind of got to give it your all, and not let anything get in your way. You know, everyone else is out partying, and I was kind of still working away. But I think, you know, you've got to be dedicated, and if you find something you love, I think you're very lucky. But yeah, hard work always pays off, I think, too. I think you create your own luck to a certain degree. I've been very lucky in people I know and the job they've got to do, but I do think that hard work really, you know, it manifests itself and becomes more. So anyway, my little studio was really cool. It became this kind of cave, this crazy cave of feathers. It was like this mad aviary in there. And here is the windows in situ. You know, the level, these handbags are like so expensive. And so, I mean, I was like terrified that it was going to be kind of crap. So I worked really hard. But, and Chen Lu is the guy who does the windows in Sydney, and you know, he's obviously very talented, so we kind of came up with this Pegasus kind of flying through space thing. You know. And yeah, they were really beautiful. I was very proud of those. After that, I was so exhausted, I had a holiday in Japan. And I just threw this in just before, but this is actually one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Believe it or not, it's just a shaving of wood. I was in Kyoto in a restaurant in Gion in the back streets, and I had this amazing meal, probably one of the best meals of my life. And the menu was this. I should have pinched it, but I didn't. But it was just a block of wood, and they just shaved it, and you know, then wrote the kanji on top, which I just think is, you know, so indicative of the Japanese style, who obviously have a real affinity with paper and paper design. And I just love the simplicity of it. You know, I think simplicity always speaks through. Complications, you know, can sometimes cloud design. But yeah. No, it's not good. Sorry, my computer's painted. It's kind of thinking. Oh. Oh, I'll ignore that. Sorry, dudes. That's not. So let's scroll through. Sorry about that. Yeah, this computer, it's actually a bit of a workhorse. It's been kind of going since 2005. It cost me a bomb when I bought it, and it's still going, which is good. But I can't even just use it like this now. Better desktop one. Tragedy averted. Okay, here we go. This is a poster I did for the Sydney Opera House, you know, I mean, if you told me at TAFE that I was going to one day do a poster for the Sydney Opera House, you know, I would never believe you. I think that's kind of, it really speaks of what's happened in my career. You know, and these are some of the, people often ask me what's my favourite project I've ever done, and you know, I think to have done something for the city that you grew up in, you know, it makes me very proud to have done this project. And I mean, it's beautiful, you know, colour, here again, colour and shape and paper, the simplicity works so well. And there's a bit of body Photoshop job there too, which I didn't do, but anyway. This was another job I did for Commonwealth Bank, and that's Jean-Pierre Genet, the director. He kind of came in to direct the commercials, and the funny story about this job is I was flew down to Melbourne to kind of do it and make it down there. And I was kind of toiling away at my desk, and someone kind of came up behind me. He was like, "So this is the Papa Book?" And I was like, "Oh, who are you?" And he was like, "I am Jean-Pierre Genet, as a director." And I was like, "Oh shit!" But just totally like, I was like, "Who are you?" Anyway, I mean, what an amazing man he is, and you know, I mean, he paid me a great compliment at the end. He's like, "You know, your work is really amazing." And, I mean, I was humbled by that. He, you know, he's such a visionary in his field. You know, I've got to meet some really interesting people along the way. This was another job I did for McDonald's, and I kind of said this last week in Sydney, but I think, you know, you really kind of got to get commercial at some point. You know, these companies are the ones with all the money, and so they can really kind of make these creative visions come alive. This was puppets, so I've never done paper puppets before, and the soundstage and the set that we did for this was enormous. I didn't make everything, but like the frogs I made and the unicorn, and I designed most of the stuff. But yeah, this was a really great project to work on. Jungle Boys, which is a production company in Sydney, I worked with them on this one. Papercraft 2 is this book. I've been very honoured to be included in lots of books. Papercraft 2 stands out to me as one of my favourites because the first one was so good and I was kind of so desperate to get in it. And so when they asked me, Sheldon asked me, it was a great honour to be included in that. And I've been included in a new one. I don't know what the title is yet, but some other one is coming up soon. But yeah, I mean, another highlight of my time. Here is Sia. I collaborated with my one friend, Taisha Noble. She's a super talented art director, and she's so much fun. She's a wizard, she's an amazing wizard. And she asked me to make a cloak and a headdress for Sia. I had a few feathers left over, as you can see. And Liz hand shot this, but it's beautiful. I don't think it actually ended up getting used because maybe the reflection on the cloak didn't quite work out. But I mean, it's still a beautiful image, and yeah, I love that one. Here's another project I did with Taisha. That's Taisha there on the ground. This was another kind of Sydney-focused thing. Taisha and I, at the very last minute, I got asked to work on the Mardi Gras branding for 2011. I learned a lot. I mean, every job I do, I learn something, and I really love that about being in the creative industry. You're always learning something new every time you do something. And for this project, I learned you shouldn't shoot paper on black because it's crap. But I mean, you can actually see there was such a great sense of depth to what we designed. And Taisha art directed everything, and I just made her design out of paper. But it just didn't translate well onto the poster. And also another thing is, if you do something like this for a community that has many different opinions and voices, then you kind of there's a bit of backlash which we didn't quite expect. I better hurry. This is, I think it's really important to do art as well as commercial work, so I try and do art as much as I can. These are some flamingos I made for Animal Collective Now, which was an exhibition about animals. This is my blush of flamingos, which is kind of fun. I love that. I think it's probably one of my favourite things I've ever done. It sits on my desk. And here some typography, some kind of 3D extrusions, which are kind of cool. Desktop magazine. This is the first magazine cover I did for Brendan, who does desktop. He asked me to do it. And I worked with Tom on this one. He's a photographer, and his mantra of letting the camera do as much of the work as possible was really interesting. And I included the back shot there because from the front they look really beautiful, and then from the back it's all like wire to attack. They're never that pretty from behind. Here's some shots of me in my studio. So you can kind of see that's my desk. I've since added shelves because I kind of try and keep as much as I can, but I've got so much stuff now. It's crazy. And me twirling away on the desktop thing. This is shot by Trevor King, who I share my studio with. He's next door. Doing the handle there. Some more type. This was a MasterCard advert we did. I worked with Pat and Shelby, some art directors, on this Birds of Tokyo, which was fab. I love that. It worked out so well, and they worked really hard on this to make it successful. And this was the follow-up ad, which maybe didn't work out so well. Sometimes things don't work as well as you want them to. Anyway. Last year I had my first solo exhibition, which has always been a bit of a dream. And so here it is, the object gallery kind of made it a paper outing. It was a real chance for me to kind of exist beyond any kind of like creative brief, and just kind of set stuff of my own for myself. So I made some ice skates and a rocking horse and a clock. Someone sat on a rocking horse like, what? Within the first half an hour it was kind of ruined. I was like, what? Anyway, whatever. Good weekend. I just did. This is some of my more recent work, but good weekend. And sometimes in design, simplicity is the best. I thought A, I never thought I'd do a good weekend cover, but B, I thought if I did, it would be like really kind of in depth. But the Emery, the art director, something simple, and it worked out beautifully. It's just really it does what it's meant to do. And GQ asked me to do the artist back page for the GQ style issue out now, and so I kind of made this kind of cool pocket knifey thing, which is a capable man issue, so it worked out well. I didn't even know. Another recent project I've just done is my friends Anna and Luca. Their Romance is Born fashion design duo, and I just did their Fashion Week set. We made a massive pop-up set, and a lot of people have asked me to do pop-up sets before, but this was a really great opportunity, and it worked out really well. And I made also some gauntlets for the models to wear. This is a project that I've only just been allowed to actually share with you guys. I was asked last year to travel to Paris to work with Hermes, and in the studio, the Petit Dash studio. And what they do is they take all the leftover leather and silk and everything that they would normally destroy, and they're asking creative people to come and design new things. We design it, and the craftsmen bring their savoir-faire to the mix and make these beautiful things. So we made a pop-up book in leather, which was a real challenge. Jonathan, who's the artisan who made this, did such an exceptional job. I mean, the box there, you can see the stitching, the detail that goes into that. It's like mind-blowing. And another shot of that. It's all different kinds of leathers and toile and stuff that they have left over. Yeah, so that was a really good project. I'm very proud of that. Just quickly, this is something I've just been doing the last couple of days. I've been here since Monday, and I've been up on Ponsonby Road at Mini Garage, making a paper mini. So yeah, thank you also to B&F Papers for supplying me with the paper. It's very generous of them to do that, and it's been quite a good challenge. I tried my best. I'm still probably going to work over the next couple of days, tomorrow while I'm here, so I might be out there in the break, kind of still working, because I've been working on it for 4 days, but I didn't get as far as I'd hoped. It took me a whole day just to make the wheels, you know. The round shapes, as I said, difficult. But these are my crappy iPhone photos, but you kind of get the idea. And working in big paper, it's really hard. It kind of gets floppy, and you kind of had to use a bit of foam core there to kind of like reinforce the sides and stuff like that. But yeah, it's coming together. Look, this is leading into the next part of my speech, which is kind of I did a pop-up book for Kylie Minogue last year, and this was probably my favourite spread from the pop-up book. I mean, it wasn't just my pop-up, there was many other people and lots of photography and stuff like that, but I just wanted to run you quickly through the process of actually making a pop-up book. This was the Lotus, and really what the thing was for Kylie was a glorified CD holder, I suppose, if you like, but yeah, I mean, there's her CD there, and you kind of fold it and kind of tucks it away. But I mean, there's Kylie, she's huge, huh? But I mean, how do you possibly take on a project like that? I mean, Kylie's enormous, you know. It's terrifying, but you know, you just kind of got to put your head down. We had 30 days to get this done, which is unheard of really. Normally, I think paper engineers would have maybe 6 months, 9 months to design a pop-up book. We had 30 days, and so it was like, it was on, you know, and it was probably the hardest I've ever worked after that MS project earlier on. But yeah, I mean, didn't sleep for kind of like, 18-hour days for like 35 days straight. So it's like nuts. But anyway, that's what you got to do to be the best. So the process is, I'll be quick because I've only got about 13 minutes left, but the process is we kind of came up with a really initial pop-up to show Kylie, see if she was interested. Obviously she was interested, but just to see if it was going to gel and whether or not we could do it. So this was like kind of taken from her album art, and I made this in a day and a half, I think. And it was, I mean, the fold was right down the centre of her face, so that wasn't great. But this is kind of what I came up with. I kind of push it to the side a bit, so right there. But yeah, I mean, we sent that off, and it was on, you know. I mean, normally, I've never thought something like this would happen, and you know, people often come and say, can we do this, can we do that, and you know, Warner Music was right behind this, and they wanted to do something special for Kylie, for her Aphrodite World Tour. So, you know, it's a bit of a dream job really, and it kind of happened. I was very surprised. So there's some images of Kylie. There she was dancing on stage, having fun. But I mean, you know, and you can kind of see like her show is like totally camp and like outrageous, and, you know, a big spectacle. So it was, you know, I had to kind of impart that into the pop-up, the pop-ups. Here's my guess. The process of making a pop-up is, you know, I start by cutting, just no computers or anything like that, just cutting, gluing, trying to get some forms and shapes. But pretty quickly, I take this stuff and I put it into Illustrator. I use Illustrator to help me with the vector shapes, because with pop-ups you've obviously got to often print these out over and over again to get it right. I don't use CAD or anything like that to help me design. I like to use my mind to do that. I'm a bit of a analog dude, I forgot what I was going to say about that. Anyway. Yeah, so this is like the dress or something like that, one of the early ones, kind of lots of mess. More dress, as you can see, it's evolving. I don't use a cutter either, I should. I bought a cutter for like a bomb, but I never use it, it's just nuts. But yeah, I like using things by hand. I think hand imparts some kind of magic that it's really hard to get, a computer just cannot do. And some stages, so you can kind of see there the development slowly of things as they build up. And I mean, I think I ended up, for 5 pop-ups, I think I ended up making about 80 different kind of mock-ups. So yeah, a bit of a killer. And more studio shots. I mean, the Lotus looks so beautiful in white there. I love it in white. It's just really, really elegant. And I mean, it looks quite complex, but that's actually quite a simple thing to make. It's, you know. Lotus again. Here's the kind of blank of Kylie's chariot. You know, you had to do the camping because that's what they all want. But yeah, I mean, this is another complex one. I tried to really push myself. Here's an early mock-up of the horse, which I'll go on and talk a bit about that. But I mean, I really tried to push. You know, I was kind of very nervous because you can't. If you're going to do something for Kylie, it's got to be like big and wow, you know, because you never had a pop-up done for it before. So you had to really, I had to throw everything at it. And the horse is a good example. I think that sometimes, you know, as much as you try, things might not necessarily work out the way that you kind of hope for. And this was one particular example of a very complex kind of pop-up moving. And when it came to production time, I think that, you know, to mass produce something like this was really difficult. So maybe it was a bit of a flop, but that's all right. Here I am with Chris down in the corner. He was kind of like our attaché. He was the printer who ran the printing in China. And I wonder what the next slide is. Oh yes. So he was really kind of integral to the whole project. So the process is, you know, I would kind of like mock it up, get to this point where we've got kind of like vector shapes of all the shapes, and hand it over to the talented production company, Katana Productions, there in Sydney. And that's Kiro with his back to it. So this guy is amazing. He did the best job. And he's kind of like rendering the graphics on the flat shape there, on my vector shape. And that's from the stage, that one there. And here on the screen it's daytime, but we eventually turned it into night, which you'll see. And here's a oh god, that's so bad. Here's a rendering of Kiro's the Kiro's of the horse. It was really hard to get the shape on that one, you know. This is just about before you go to China. There wasn't really budget to go to China, so I kind of paid for myself to go there. So I really wanted to see this part of the process, you know. And the graphics have all been added here slowly by this point. And I mean, this is a good example of just how amazing Kiro was. He had that tiny, like, little low-res image at the bottom there, and he kind of, it was like a mammoth from a tooth, you know. He kind of like built this whole pop-up out of just that one image, which is, you know, he did a really amazing job. It was, yeah, low-res, and he built all the legs on the guys, and yeah, he did an amazing job. Here we are. There's Kiro in the middle. He's like this. He's massive. He's like a mattress. He's like the biggest guy. And Aaron down. He was the art director and typographer and stuff on the book. And that's Adam up there. He's the head of the production company. And real visionary Adam is. He really threw everything at this and kind of, you know, put his heart and soul into it, which you got to love. So here we are in China. I've kind of gone to China. I love. This is at the factory. This is a handmade factory. And this gentleman here is the owner of the handmade factory, and you know, I love the process of sitting down in China. You have tea, which I thought was really lovely, you know, kind of the start of the working relationship. And cigarettes, everyone smokes like chimneys over there. And here we are, kind of all going, oh wow, it's looking good. This is a knife. This is what it actually looks like. So you know, the vector lines that I've drawn in Illustrator are then kind of laser cut into a thick piece of plywood, and hammered. The metal is hammered into from behind and kind of comes up And if it's a cut, obviously it's sharp. If it's a fold, if it's a score on the pop-up, they bend the metal, and it kind of just kind of makes an indentation. And I was kind of hoping I'd get to see how this happened, but they just kind of appeared one morning out of the back, and so I missed the whole process, which I was really wishing to see. But you can kind of see there. I mean, the wheels in the middle there. It's like millimeter precision that these guys can get with this metal stuff, and it's mind blowing, really. And at this point, I'm kind of checking for faults to see if there's anything out. I think I've spotted a fault here. And so what they do, and the one on the right here is one of the base boards, and they kind of cover these with foam so that when the press comes down and punches it out, it doesn't kind of damage the paper that much. And so they kind of organise, they nest all the different pieces together, and line them up with the punches. And here's some nested sheets. I think that's what they call it. And this is Chris doing the press check. You know, it was really hard that, you know, we had all these meetings about what type of paper we should use, and we're like, oh, isn't that lovely stock, and we'll do that. And then you kind of get to China, and it's kind of like, well, this is what we got, you know, so it didn't really matter what we wanted. We just kind of got what we were given. So it didn't actually work out the first time around. I had to remake all these books. So I think we made 1,200 in total. But it ended up being double that because it was just, the paper just wasn't up to it. So yeah, that was a good lesson. And here's the knives that come back, and they've kind of punched it out into white card. I'm kind of going over it. And this is like, where you can see all the pieces here laid out. And here's me. This room is like so hot. It was so hot, and it's the hottest room in the world. And I've kind of like overjoyed because it's actually worked. You know, I kind of stuck. I was sweating. You know, because I mean, this is crunch time. You know what I mean? All the knives have been made. All the graphics have been done. If it doesn't actually work here, then we're in deep trouble. And there were a couple of changes that had to be made, but on the whole, it was right. And there's Chris measuring up to make sure anything's like, because nothing can stick outside the edge of, you know, once the press comes down and cuts the edges of the paper. If anything's sticking out, it gets locked off. So you've got to really pay attention to making sure that everything sticks in. And this guy in the stripes here, he was one of the head guys at the hand manufacturing. He was just so brilliant. He you know, just could put this thing together. He just took all the pieces and kind of magically did it, you know, and it's a real jigsaw puzzle to get it done. Some shots of the girls kind of putting together. I think these are some of my favourite shots because you can actually see, you know, in China, the skill that these people have is phenomenal. And they kind of all sit there and like they all get punched out and sit there and kind of put these things together. It's remarkable when you think about it. The effort that goes into producing just one book. And then, you know, they retail for, you know, on the market, they're like $40 or something. I don't quite know how that works. But here's the stage, and on the stage there's this kind of cool QR code that you can kind of swipe your phone over and Kylie will dance, some French guy. It's amazing. So I'll be quick. Here we are in Hong Kong, just about to present to Kylie. This is the first time we've seen the book, and that's Beth from Warner Music. I'm being all critical, and she's like, it looks amazing. I'm like, that's pretty much wrong. But in the meantime, Adam had made some of my flamingos for Kylie to present to her, which is kind of a nice touch. And she loves vases. I think Kylie collects vases, so he had this amazing vase made for her, which is kind of hidden. You can't see it there. And here we are presenting finally to Kylie. All that hard work of the team. We were out the back at her concert in Hong Kong, and I thought we'd all be sitting around having a good old yak in the back dressing room or something. But it was just out the back, you know. Everyone's kind of having dinner, all the roadies. It wasn't quite what I imagined, but you know, she's such a lovely lady, and she was really very pleasant to us, and wrote a really nice email to us, and was very thankful, I think, for all the hard work we put in. I think her record went platinum or something, so they made one of my Lotus things and kind of put a record in, which is pretty cool. And here I am after all that hard work, kind of a bit drunk at the concert, but like so happy because you know we made it. We climbed this mountain. It seemed impossible at times to get there, and we'd done it. You know, yeah, but very very proud moment for me. This is there's some beautiful illustration work and stuff in the book as well as my pop-ups. There's lots of limited edition photographs and stuff like that. And John Zoo's a talented illustrator in Sydney presented these. And Marikor and Marikar, who are these amazing twins, who I've worked with on a couple of other projects, which I haven't shown today, but they did this beautiful embroidery for the book as well. And I think that's the end of my presentation, which is kind of about right on time. But there's Kylie, you know, there she is in 3D form. So I think that's it. Yeah, thank you so much. There's actually one more thing right now before. I mean, you can come on if you want. No, come on.
I'll go and launch you over.
Yeah, well look, this is actually the best bit, right? Okay, so we've got, everyone's got an extra bit of paper. So, I've done this twice now, it's so much fun. If everyone could, fold the paper airplane. And we'll kind of chuck them together, it's actually really good. It looks amazing, you should see this.
Have you got enough light?
Yeah, I think maybe we need to turn up the lights.
A little light might not go straight.
Look, what I would say is, if you're up the top, maybe don't fold the pointy one. It's gonna be like. I've been experimenting. I was in Byron Bay over the summer, and my friends' nieces got really hooked on paper airplanes too. I've been following one.
See, you're making ones. Turn them up there. Just take it off. It's finished now. Like this part.
Yeah, she didn't even notice it.
The sound of 2,000 people folding paper aeroplanes.
Good sound.
Oddly romantic.
I'm going to see other people too.
At this point in time, most people are just sitting downstairs in the music and like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, no, you're going to pop it.
Pale than me.
How are we going? Is everyone ready? Let me go look. Are you going to follow one too? Yeah? That's the
I was going to follow one, but then I realised with my notes. I'll take them.
There you go.
Some people down here have managed to make the aeroplane into a square.
There you go.
Nice work.
Thanks. Alright, so, is everyone ready? I'll give you a couple more seconds. But what I want to say is, please everyone shield your eyes. You need your eyes. I can't follow these ones that come up like that. Loop that round. Give some wings.
Alright.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm getting a reply to somebody.
Come on, quick Aaron. No, I'm going to count to 3.
Alright.
Okay.
I was in a hurry.
That's a bit crap. Alright, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. So,
did you even see it? I never was.
Yeah.
Why not?
You looked at it. Did you see it? Did you actually see it? It was fucking buzzy, man. It was insane. It's so meaningless. Like it was raining.
We've got time for a couple of questions.
Okay, alright. I've done too bad at the time.
Yeah, listen now.
Okay.
Alright, no, keep talking them. Tell you what, the 2 guys from Melbourne are going to stand there and they're going to be impaled by aeroplanes. What I like the most, thank you, as far as paper engineering goes, thank you, I guess, for bringing us into the fold.
Yes, no worries.
I didn't actually make that up, I sampled that from a tweet. A lot of paper cuts?
No, rarely. Scalpel is more what you have to be wary of. I did do a project recently which was like massive typography, which I should have actually named too, because that's enormous. And I cut my hands and ribbons, but you just got to keep on going.
There's still a rain of planes coming in. It's like Heathrow, apart from the fact that we then don't have to stand in a line for 7 hours. Any huge projects that you're looking for, do you think, I want to take it, like, what is the biggest step you think you can, or the biggest project you think you can take it to?
I don't know. I mean, there is a limit, but yeah, look, I just kind of take it as it comes, but I haven't got anything massive on the horizon. There's a sweet size I like to work at, which is about yay, you know, so, yeah.
And in many ways, I guess, you know, a father is an engineer and a mother's is a children's book author, and here you are, that's sort of the perfect synthesis.
Yeah, it's just kind of happened, didn't it? Yeah.
And what I like, and I think it's a real, there's a lot of people tweeting stuff about it, it's just the beautiful nature of the work. And what I liked the most was, I'm not sure who said it, but someone said that it was humbling in its beauty.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that nice? I think it was a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, no guy can go, oh, I just wish we could make a plane, and then you've got to do that. And so,
it is a humble medium, but that's what I love about it. There's so much complexity with digital, and you know, something like paper is endlessly rewarding, and you know, we use it every day, and we don't see the beauty in it, and we can't, you know, it is a humble medium. I think I use that word a lot with it, because it's fantastically rewarding to work with.
And in this digital age, I guess, you know, it's probably quite easy for companies just to go out and hire some graduate to make something that looks like that on a screen.
Sure,
yeah. But then, I guess there's something that you'll never quite capture, actually having a photograph of it.
No, yeah, I think you know, everyone, you know, advertising.
What? Are there some photographers in the crowd? Yeah, we've all got iPhones.
You know, one of the things I didn't mention in my speech, you know, I think advertising, at the time that I started, I think I was very fortunate in that advertising and the creative field, the creative world around the world, creatives around the world, really fell in love with the whole idea of tangible, you know, and that whole digital backlash that happened. And, you know, I just don't think you can recreate something that's real. You can't do that digitally, you know. So I was very fortunate that when I started mucking around with paper, that kind of eventuated. But yeah, you know, I think there's nothing beats a real thing, does it? And it's great to have something real on your desk, on your desk again. Yeah.
One last question, just for my personal benefit. When you had your photograph with Kylie,
yes.
Did they ask you to slightly stoop so that you?
Well, yes, I mean, literally, she was like, I was like that, you know. I was like,
that's good.
That's really sweet. She's funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, some very, very beautiful work in this ridiculous digital age. So we're going to ask you, you know, it's going to be exciting. You probably want to pick up a plate and throw it, but please resist that until what will be the shortened break after this. This is nice. I've had a couple of guys from Sydney. It's time now for a couple of guys from Melbourne. And I was asking them for, I said, is there any particular introduction that you want? And they said, look, if anyone wants to know the difference between Sydney and Melbourne, just have a look at how the Moffats were dressed, and then look at us. Ladies and gentlemen, they are graphic designers from South West Studio. We please welcome to the stage Andy Sargent and Adam Gibson.